All right, we are going to get started on 1.4 expressions and assignment statements. Okay, it says in this lesson, you will learn about assignment statements and expressions that contain math operators and variables. So we're going to be talking about some of the operators we use for mathematical operations, as well as continued, extent of what we've already learned about variables. So it starts off 1.4.1 and it says assignment statements. And an assignment statement assignment statements initialize or change the value stored in a variable using the assignment operator. And we learned about the assignment operator in the last lesson, and the assignment operator is an equal to symbol. An assignment statement always has a single variable on the left-hand side. We already learned that. Okay. We learned that we had to not only declare a variable, but also we have learned how to initialize a variable. So we've listed the data type as well as the variable name and then its value. The value of the expression, which can contain math operators or other variables, on the right side of the equal sign is stored in the variable on the left. Okay, so we've already written an assignment statement before, but what it's gone through and created here is a visual of a variable called score, and it's assigning it the value of 10 times however many points that you have. Okay, I'm guessing there's another variable called points, and then they're adding 5 to it, and that's your assignment statement. The expression that exists here is then assigned to the variable. Okay, so the variable name, whatever it is, stores that expression. Instead of saying equals for the equals symbol in an assignment statement, say gets or is assigned to. So we can say something like, instead of saying score is equal to, you can say score is assigned the value of whatever this is. That's what I never really use gets. I haven't really used that in the past. I've used is assigned to remember that the variable gets or is assigned the value on the right. Okay, so you get score is assigned the value of, it's my usual phrase, is assigned the value of. So when you see equals, don't think equal to, because later on, when we're dealing with conditional statements and logical operators, we will be, conditional operators as well as logical operators will be using double equal to symbols, which end up, well, I guess I don't want to confuse you now. It's a little different. So if you get in the habit of saying is assigned the value of, then that's a good start. It says in the figure above, score is assigned the value of the expression 10 times points, which is another variable. Yep, plus 5. Okay, and there's a video. Make sure to watch it. If I click on it,
whenever we run
it's a minute long.
We run the method public static void main string square bracket args.
And I'll let you guys watch that. It says, as we saw in the video, I didn't watch the video, but we can set one variable's value to a copy of the value of another variable, like y equals x. This won't change the value of the variable that you're copying from. So if you're looking here in this code, it says int x is assigned the value of 8. Int y is assigned the value of 15. But then later on in the program here, the code says y is assigned the value of x and x is assigned the value of 0. So in this, y is now equal to 8. Okay, y is assigned the value of 8 and x is now assigned the value of 0. Even though originally these were declared and initialized up here, the variable value was changed below. Okay. It says, let's step through the following code in the Java visualizer to see the values in memory. Click on the next button at the bottom of the code to see how the values of the variables change. You can run the visualizer on any active code in this ebook by clicking on the code lens button at the top of each active code. Okay, so it says here, what are the values of, well, hold on a second. You can run the visualizer on any active code in the ebook just by clicking. Okay, so that's just an additional way. Okay, what are the values of X, Y, and Z after the following code executes? You can step to this code by clicking on the Java visualizer link. Okay, so if I'm going through here and looking at this, it says int X is assigned the value of 0. Int Y is assigned the value of 1. Int Z is assigned the value of 2. So it says X is assigned the value of Y, which means X is now 1. Okay, so I'm guessing it's going to end up being this one. And then Y is assigned the value of Y, which is 1 times 2. So Y is 2. And then Z is assigned the value of 3. Okay, let me check this. And these are the new values. So when you're looking through your variables, moving through your code, it's important to identify what's at the top. And when you originally assign values and initialize your variables, but later on throughout your code, you can reassign values to variables. Okay, it says the following has the correct code to swap the values in X and Y. So the X ends up with Y's initial value, and the Y ends up with X's initial value. But the code is mixed up. It contains one extra block, which is not needed in the correct solution. Drag the needed blocks from the left into the correct order on the right. Check your solution by clicking on the check button. Okay. You'll be told if any of the blocks are in the wrong order, or if you need to remove one or more blocks. After 3 incorrect attempts, you'll be able to use the help me button to make the problem easier. Okay, so we're taking a look at this. We are assigning the values to X, Y, and then we have a temporary value, which we're going to store a value in. Okay, so if I have Y is assigned the value of temporary. No, I'm sorry. You want temporary to be assigned whatever was in X. And then from there, you can assign X into Y, and you can assign Y into whatever was temporary. All right, so let me run this. Let's see if I'm right. Perfect. So let me just explain what I did. I have my value 3, which is X assigned to 3, Y is assigned to 5, and temporary is assigned to 0. The temp is just like what it's going to hold. And we're assigning whatever's in X. So temp is going to be assigned 3. And then I'm going to change X's value to whatever Y was, which was 5. And then I'm going to take Y and assign the value of what I originally stored into temp, which was X's original value. All right, just perfect. Okay, it only took you one try to solve this. Great job. All right, 1.4.2. It says adding 1 to a variable. It says if you use a variable to keep score, you would probably increment it or add 1 to the current value whenever the score should go up. You can do this by setting the variable to the current value of the variable plus 1. To score is equal to score plus 1, as shown below. The formula looks a little crazy in math class, but it makes sense in coding because the variable on the left is set to the value of the arithmetic expression on the right. Okay, so the score variable is set to the previous value of score plus 1. It says try the code below to see how the score is incremented by 1. try substituting 2 instead of 1 to see what happens. So let's take a look at this code. We have our class called test1. We have our main method here. And then we have a variable called score, and it's been assigned the value of 0. Okay. We then print out the score, and then we change the score. We add 1 to it, right? Imagine we're playing a game. We've added 1 to our score. Maybe we moved up to the next level, or we just, I'm thinking of a game my daughter plays on the iPad. It's a Lego racing game. And as you're riding down the path, you pick up these coins. With every coin that you collect, it adds 1 to the total, kind of like Mario, I guess. Okay, so when she goes through and does that, she gets 1 coin each. So you take whatever score it is and you add 1 to it. And then it prints out the new score. So it like updates the score. If I run it, right, so my original value was 0. I added 1 to it and I printed that out and that was 1. Just try substituting 2 instead of 1 to see what happens. Okay, I'm assuming that's going to be 0 and 2. All right, we got that one correct. 1.4.3, it says input with variables. Variables are a powerful abstraction in programming. An abstraction is something that is not concrete. It's an idea, something that we'll be using. And abstraction is a key concept in computer science, which we'll go through. But variables are a power abstraction in programming because the same algorithm can be used with different input values saved in variables. Okay. Talk a little bit about variables last lesson. We're adding a little bit more onto it. It says the code below will say hello to anyone who types in their name for different name values. Okay, so no matter what the person types in as their name, it's going to tell them hello. Click on run and then type in your name. Then try run again and type in a friend's name. The code works for any name. Behold the power of variables. So it says run. Okay, and you see this code here. You don't necessarily need to know what this means right now. You're just looking at this, but it says, please enter your name. And I'll say my name is Danza. And then it prints back, hello, Mr. Danza. And then it closes out. All right, if I run it again and add a different name in here, say I added Mrs. Danza. It says, hello, Mrs. Danza. All right, so no matter what name I type in, it ends up saving it. If I look at my code here, I have my main method. It says system.out.print, please enter your name. Okay. Then I create this thing called a scanner. And you don't necessarily need to know much about this quite yet, but you're accepting user input. And when you accept user input, you're then storing it, a variable. Okay. It's going to store it as a name, your variable name. And it's going to scan until it hits the next line. So whatever the user types in, I typed in Mrs. Danza, and it's going to store that in a variable called name. And then I printed out system.out.println hello, and then I use concatenation like I learned in my last lesson. It says plus name. If you don't know what concatenation is, go back to 1.3. All right, and then we close the scanner out. It closes everything. Pretty cool. Okay, it says, although you will not be tested on the AP Computer Science A exam on using the Java system.in and scanner classes, learning how to do it is still very useful. Accepting user input is very powerful. It's one of the first things that I teach my Python students too. So there's more information on using the scanner class can be found here. Okay, it takes you to our website. 1.4.4 says operators. Okay, Java uses the standard mathematical operators for addition. These are pretty standard across all programming languages, plus, minus, multiplication, and division. Notice that we have a plus symbol, minus, multiplication uses the asterisk. Okay, and the division is a /. Arithmetic expressions can be of type int or double. We talked about int in the last lesson, as well as double. Int is for integers and double is for numbers with decimal points. An arithmetic operation that uses two int values will evaluate to an int value. Makes sense. An arithmetic operation that uses at least one double will evaluate to a double. So if you use a double in your operation, it's going to store it as a double. If you have a decimal point in there, then even if the answer isn't a decimal point, it's going to store it as a double unless you explicitly tell it not to. It says you may have noticed that plus was also used to put text together in the input program above. More on this when we talk about strings. I'll talk more about concatenation later. It says Java uses the operator double equal to, and this is something that I mentioned a few minutes ago, but the double equal to symbol to test if the value on the left is equal to the value on the right. Okay, and then exclamation point equals is used to test if items are not equal. Okay, so it says don't get one equal sign confused with the double equal sign. They mean different things in Java. Okay, one equal sign is used to assign a value to a variable. That's the just one, the assignment operator. And then the double equal sign is used to test to see if a variable is a certain value and that returns true or false. And we'll see that below. It says use double equal to and the exclamation point equal to only with int values and not doubles, because double values are an approximation and 3.3333 will not equal 3.3334 even though they are close. Okay, so just a note that you should probably use that with integers and not doubles. Run the code below to see all the operators in action. Do all those operators do what you expected? What about 2 divided by 3? Isn't it surprising that it prints 0? All right, so let's run the code. Okay. 2 plus 3 gives you 5. Not surprising. We've printed that out. 2 minus 3 gives you -1. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 divided by 3 is 0. Okay. That's not what it equals, but it's not actually storing it as the operation is not considering that's a decimal, because really it would be 0.6 repeating, right? But it stops right at the 0. More on that later. Okay. It says, and then system out dot print line is 2 the same value? Is 2 equal to 3? The answer is false. System.out.println 2, is it not equal to 3? Yes, 2 is not equal to 3. So that's why I printed out true. Okay. And this is showing you this answer, 2 divided by 3. It says when Java sees you doing integer division, okay, or any operation with integers, it assumes that you want an integer back. So it throws away anything other than the decimal point in the answer, after the decimal point in the answer. If you need a double answer, you need to make at least one of the values a double. Make it like 2.0. Okay, with division, another thing to watch out is dividing by 0. Just talked about this with my math class recently. An attempt to divide integer by 0 will result in an arithmetic exception error message because it doesn't allow you to divide a number by 0. Try it in one of the active code windows above. All right, so I don't know if I take 2 divided by 0, let me run it. It says java.lang, so a language error. Arithmetic exception means an exception is an error that you're going to get. And it says division by 0 in line 8. Basically saying you cannot divide a number by 0. It will not let you divide by 0. All right. And then it says operators can be used to create compound expressions with more than one operator. You can use either a literal value, which is a fixed value like 2, or variables in them. When compound expressions are evaluated, operator precedence rules are used so that multiplication, division, and look at this, a percentage symbol are done before addition and subtraction. Might be thinking, what is this percentage symbol? We'll find out. However, anything in parentheses is done first. So order of operations, right? That's basically what it's saying. We're gonna go through and I mean, you learned order of operations, PEMDAS in Algebra 1. If you don't know order of operations, then P stands for parentheses, E exponent, MD is multiplication and division, and AS is addition and subtraction. It says, however, anything in parentheses is done first. It doesn't hurt to put in extra parentheses if you're unsure as to what will be done first. Okay, I always find myself putting in too many parentheses as well, just because I want certain things done first and to make sure the computer does it the way I want it. In example below, try to guess what it will print out and then run it to see if you're right. Remember to consider operator precedence. How do the parentheses change the precedence? Okay, try to guess what will print out and see if you're right. Okay, so it's going to do multiplication before addition and subtraction. So it would take 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 2 is 8. Right, so I'm just going to guess here, make a comment. Right, I'm going to guess that's 8. And over here, okay, inside parentheses, does that first. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Yes, and over here, once again, inside parentheses, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Those are my guesses. Let's see if I'm right. Your error is compiling your code. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. That's the comment symbol for Python. Wasn't thinking. Okay, let me comment those out. That's the comment for Java. Don't let me confuse you here. The pound symbol or the hash symbol is used for Python for comments. I'm thinking Python. 2 forward slashes for Java. Right. And my guess, my expected was 8. And I ended up getting 8. Okay, my anticipated was 10, and I ended up getting 10. My anticipated was 8, and I got 8. So I don't need this code here. I could have left it out or just written them down or remembered them, but I went ahead and wrote the comments in. Okay, so the percentage sign operator that I mentioned up here, like what in the world is that? Okay, that is called the modulo operator, okay, otherwise known as modulus. Okay, and really that's the remainder. Remember when we used to do division by hand back in the day instead of using our calculators? And when you were in elementary school, before you learned how to divide past the decimal, you would just write, like, I don't know, 5 remainder 2. And a remainder is calculated by using the percentage symbol. So it says the modulus operator, x, and then modulus, or modulo, x modulo 3 returns the remainder after you divide x. So the first number by the second number. So 5 divided by 2, okay, this symbol right here, the modulo symbol, will give me the remainder. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, right? But 2, and then what's left over, there's 1 left over. So it'll return 1 since 2 goes into 5 2 times, the remainder of 1. Remember long division when you had to specify how many times a number went to another evenly, and then you used to stop at the remainder. The remainder is returned by the modulo operator, right? So 3 divided by 2 gives you 0. I'm sorry, 2 divided by 3 gives you 0. And remember, that 0 was returned before, when really it was 0.6 repeating. 2 would be returned, whatever's left over we haven't dealt with, right? So if I wanted to split, let's say I have 5 people, right? And I want to fit them into 2 groups evenly. Okay, 2 people will be in a group, 2 people will be in each group, and then there's 1 person left over. Okay, so it's the remainder. And the modulo returns the remainder. Okay. So here's the video.
Whenever we run a
And it says int x is assigned the value of 16, and then int y is assigned the value of 16 divided by 10, whatever the remainder is. Okay, so 16 divided by 10 would be 1, and you should have 6 remaining. Okay, 16 divided by 10 will be, it goes in 1 time, and you have 6 other remaining. So y should be the value of 6. In the example below, try to guess what it will print out and then run it to see if you're right. Okay, so I'll learn from my mistake last time. That's a comment in Java. Okay, 11 modulo 10. Okay, it's going to go in once, and you're going to have 1 left over. My guess here, 3 divided by 4. Okay, it's going to go 0 times, and you're going to have 3 left over. 0 remainder 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and there's 0 remainder. 9 divided by 2 goes in 4 times with 1 remainder. Okay, let's run it and see if we're right. I got 1, 3, 0, 1, 1, 3, 0, 1. There you go. Okay, it says the result of x modulo y when x is smaller than y is always the x, right? So that's what this example right here, x modulo y, if it's smaller, if x is smaller, then it's always whatever the x is. The value y can't go in x at all, 0 times, so x is smaller than y and just results in x. So you can see 2 modulo 3 is just 2. What is the result of 158 modulo 10? Okay, so we'll go in 15 times. That would give me 150, and there would be 8 left over. Let's check it. You divide 158 by 10. I just saw 15 times 10 is 150, so it goes in 15 times evenly, and then there's 8 left over. What is the result of 3? So once again, this number is smaller than the second number, so easy, I'm just going to take that first number. It doesn't go in, so it goes in 0 times, and then 3 left over. Okay. Programming challenge. Love challenges. It says, in this programming challenge, you will calculate your age and your pet's age from your birth dates and your pet's age in dog years. All right. In the code below, type in the current year, the year you're born, the year your dog or cat was born. If you don't have one, make one up in the variables below. I don't have a dog or cat. I had a dog when I was a kid for a couple of years. Then I had a cat for a while. I had 2 cats. Then write formulas in assignment statements to calculate how old you are, how old your dog or cat is, and how old they are in dog years, which is 7 times a human year. Finally, print it all out. If you're in pair programming, switch drivers. Okay. All right, so let me just take a look at this code for a minute. All right, so I have my class. It's called challenge 1.4. I have my main method. Just fill in values for the variables. Current year. All right, we are in 2022. My birth year, 1990. My dog's birth year. Make up a dog. Let's say I got a dog in instead of dog, I'll use my son. How about that? That's funny. Okay, so my son was born in 2020. Write a formula to calculate your age from the current year and your birth year variables. Okay, so let's just take a look at this again. I always like rereading things and going back through it. Just type in the current year, the year you're born. Okay, then write formulas in the assignment statements to calculate how old you are, how old your dog or cat is. Okay, so your dog or cat is 7 times whatever a human year is. Okay, so we'll say current year, your age is current year minus your birth year. So I'll just type that. I'll say current year minus your birth year. All right, that's how you can determine age. Write a formula to calculate your dog's age. Okay, so my son's age would be, let's say the current year minus your birth year. And then whatever that equals, we're going to multiply that by 7. Right? Calculate the age. Calculate your dog's age from the current variable. Oh, I see. Dog age. So I skipped a step here. So my dog's age in human years. Got it. Okay. And then I'm going to take whatever its age is. So dog year's age is equal to dog age times 7. Okay. Print out your age. Say system dot out dot print line, and I'll say print out your age, which was age. Text 2, so user knows. I see. So I could say something like, I am blank. I'm going to be lazy and copy this. Place. And say, my dog is dog age years old. And then I'll say in dog years, my dog is dog age. All right, so let me run this. And after I run it, let's see if I have any errors. Well, I already see one, not using the semicolons. Right. All the way from the top. Look at that. Semicolon, 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 semicolon. All right, let's run it. Let's see if I get any errors. All right, so prints out. My dog is 224 years old. That can't be right. Current year minus birth year. Yeah, that is definitely not right. So we'll take a look at this first. Okay, I'm gonna try and solve this first. My dog in dog years, my dog is dog years age. So I took dog years, my current age and birth year. So the current year is 2022. Subtract the, oh, subtract the dog birth year. I subtracted my birth year. See, look, I made a silly mistake. All right, and then that should run. My dog was 224 years old, right? My dog is 14 years old. Wow, that's crazy. All right, so if I'm looking at this, my son in dog years is 14 years old. So just going through this code, let me just walk through this. Okay, so I have my class, I have my main method, I have the current year is 2022, birth year 1990, and then the dog birth year, which is my son. His name's Nemo. His birth year is in 2020. Okay, so let's write a formula. So I took an integer called age, took whatever the current year was, subtracted my birth year, and that's how you would typically find your age. If it's 2022 and you were born in 2020, it's my son, right? He's 1 right now. He hasn't reached his 2nd birthday, but we're rounding here. Okay. If you want to be more specific, you go down to a certain day. And then my dog's age is whatever the current year is minus the dog's birth year. And I had originally written my birth year. That was silly of me. And then to calculate the age of my dog, you would take dog years age, an integer called dog years age, and you'd assign it the value of whatever the dog age is, which is 2, times 7, which is 14. So I should have got 14 down here. When I printed this out, I used system.out.println to put it on different lines. I wrote I am, add a space, I concatenated plus, and then the age, okay, my age. So I am 32 years old. System.out.println, my dog is space, and the dog's age 2 years old. And then in dog years, my dog is 14 years old. All right, passed. Your teacher may suggest that you use a Java IDE like Replit. I think that's a good web-based one to start with, especially if you're using a Chromebook. I'm not a fan of Chromebooks, but for this challenge, so that you can use input to get these values using the scanner class. Here is a REPL template that you can use to get started if you want to, whatever. Okay, so the summary, 1.4.7, the summary of everything we learned today. We have arithmetic expressions. You also might hear them called mathematical expressions. Include expressions of type int and double. Okay, the arithmetic operators consist of, and we learn plus, minus, multiplication, which is the asterisk, division, which is a /, and then the modulo, which is the remainder, the percentage symbol. The arithmetic operation or mathematical operation that uses 2 int values will evaluate to an int. With integer division, any decimal part in the result will be thrown away, right? If you divide by integers and you get a decimal, it's going to be thrown out, okay? As well as multiplication. An arithmetic operation that uses at least 1 double value will evaluate to a double value. Double takes precedence because it's a decimal. Operators can be used to construct compound expressions, right? We created a compound expression using concatenation with the plus symbols, just right in here. During evaluation, operands are associated with operators according to operator precedence to determine how they are grouped. And that's when we talked about ordered operations. An attempt to divide integer by 0 will result in an error, arithmetic exception. Okay, the assignment operator, which is the equals to symbol, allows a program to initialize or change the value stored in a variable the value of the expression on the right is stored into the variable name on the left. And during execution, expressions are evaluated to produce a single value. Through all your mathematical operators, you're able to come up with a value. The value of an expression has a type based on the evaluation of the expression. Okay, it has a data type. Let's take a look at this AP practice. The following is a 2019 APCSA sample question. Considering the following code segment. Okay, so I have an integer, it's assigned, it's A, and it's assigned the value of 5. I have another integer, which is B, and assigned the value of 2. Then I have a double called C, which is assigned the value of 3.0. Doubles have a decimal. Okay, so system.out.print 5 plus A divided by B times C minus 1. Okay, so order of operations is going to do this first from right to left. So A divided by B will give me 2 because I won't get a decimal because it's an integer. So I get 2 times C, which is a double, which is 3.0. So 2 times 3.0 will give me 6.0. 5 plus 6.0 will give me 11.0 minus 1 would be 10.0. So that's my guess. See if I'm right. There you go. All right, so see how what I've highlighted it did first. It does multiplication and division first from left to right. All right. I've attempted all 13 out of 13 activities on this page. All right. And that is 1.4 expressions and assignment statements.